cake batter cinnamon rolls, a great combination between a from-scratch recipe and a cake mix.
Let's see what's cooking. Let's get the facts. Let's see what's cooking. It's time for yoyomax12.
Hello everyone, starting off with a large bowl and 2.5 cups of warm water. Add to that 2 packages of instant active dry yeast. I stirred it in to let it dissolve, and then I added an entire box of rainbow chip cake mix, followed by a teaspoon of vanilla and 5 cups of all-purpose flour. Now the original recipe asks for bread flour, but all-purpose flour worked quite nicely. Then I beat this on low with my stand mixer with the dough hook for about 3 minutes. And then I removed it from this bowl and put it into a clean, greased bowl, loosely covered it with plastic wrap, and I put it somewhere warm and draft-free to rise. I let it rise for about an hour and a half until it was doubled in size, and then I turned it onto a countertop that was covered with flour, and then I patted it out to about 1/4 inch thickness to enlarge a rectangle. Then I took a 1/2 cup of butter that's been softened and I spread it around over the entire surface. You can use a spatula if you don't want to use your fingers. And then I took a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar and sprinkled it over the entire surface of the dough, followed by 1/2 cup of yellow cake mix, dry right out of the box. Sprinkled that on there, and then I sprinkled it generously with cinnamon, probably a couple tablespoons worth, and then also I sprinkled on some rainbow sprinkles. Now you need to roll this up. So when you make this, you'll find that dough is quite moist and it sticks like crazy. So I had to use my cookie spatula to help get it to roll up. So remember to generously flour your countertop when you turn this dough out onto it. But eventually I managed to roll it up and it didn't tear. It worked out okay. Then I used the same cookie spatula that happens to have a very sharp edge, and I sliced it into 2 rolls. Now these are about 2 inches thick. Once you slice them, you're going to place them with the cut side up in a large baking pan that's been well greased. Make sure there's lots of space in between. Cover it with some greased plastic wrap and put it in a warm place to rise until doubled. First rising takes about an hour and a half. Second rising should take about a half an hour or so. You can see they've risen quite a bit. They've taken up all the space in that pan. And then you're going to bake them at 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes until they're brown and then they feel like they're done. Now to make the frosting for these, you'll need 1/2 cup of yellow cake mix, 1/4 cup of butter softened, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 3 cups of powdered sugar. Now you're going to blend this together and you're going to add between 3 and 6 tablespoons of milk, just enough so that you get a spreadable consistency. So continue to beat and add small amounts of milk or cream until you get something you can spread onto the cinnamon rolls. So once they're out of the oven, while they are still warm, spread that frosting evenly over the top. This made, as you can see, quite a few cinnamon rolls. I actually had to put some in another container because they didn't quite all fit in the big container. And while that frosting is all warm and melted on the cinnamon rolls, sprinkle more of those rainbow sprinkles and they'll kind of stick into the frosting. Now, how do these taste? They taste awesome. They taste exactly what the title says they are. They taste like a cinnamon roll and a birthday cake kind of mixed up together. Wasn't sure of how I would enjoy that flavor combination, but it was great. That frosting adds a lot to it. They are decadent, delicious, they're moist, and best eaten the first or second day. I also put a bunch of these in the freezer for another time. Give them a try. I've always loved recipes that take an ordinary plain cake mix and turn it into something extraordinary. And I have quite a few of these recipes on my channel. I've combined them all into a playlist. So if you're interested in these types of recipes, please click right on your screen or see the link in the About section below. Thanks for watching.